Tim Cook is officially stepping down as CEO of Apple this year to be replaced by John Ternus. And I normally don't cover CEO changes at companies, but a lot of you have been asking me about it, and I do think this one's really interesting in the context of the types of products we may be about to get as a result. So the full story is John Ternus, starting in September, will be the new CEO of Apple Inc. He was previously the Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering. So the new chief of hardware, when he moves up, will be Johnny Sarugi, who was working as Senior VP of Hardware Technologies. He's the guy who's always in the chip lab down in all those Apple keynotes, leading all the Apple Silicon stuff. And Tim Cook won't be leaving Apple. He'll just do the classic retirement move to chairman of the board of directors. So first of all, we got to give props to Tim Cook where it's due. I mean, love him or hate him, that man stepped into probably the single hardest job in tech, which is you're going to follow up Steve Jobs. And while he is no Steve Jobs, he did it in his own way. He brought all of his supply chain optimization and business expertise to take Apple to ridiculous heights to be $1 trillion, then $2, $3, $4 trillion company. Through 15 years of wildly different economies and political climates, investors love him. That was what he was always good at. But the number one question a lot of people have been asking me for the past week straight is like, all right, now what do you think? What is going to possibly change about Apple now that Tim Cook is stepping down? And it's funny, normally, with one or two people shuffling around, it typically doesn't actually make much of a difference. Like with these huge companies, they're like a massive boat and thousands of people have a paddle. So no one person is going to dramatically change the direction of the whole company. But if you've paid attention for the past couple months around Apple, it's actually more than just the guy at the top. It's more than one or two people. There have been a lot of really high-level executives and important people and leaders in the company stepping down, leaving, and mostly retiring. There were maybe one or two surprises in there, but it was mostly a bunch of fairly long-tenured, predictable, 65-plus-year-old C-suite executives just retiring around the same time and then handing over the reins to a bunch of the younger generation inside Apple. So then Tim Cook, who is 65 years old, was essentially the last big domino in a large, likely orchestrated series of exactly that. If you want a lot more insight on this, you should watch Snazzy Quinn's video on it. It's a few months old, but it has aged incredibly well on all of this. So my takeaway from all this is it feels like there's a bunch of coordinated oars all changing direction at the same time in the same way that seems to actually be changing the direction of the boat. And I think I really like where it looks like it's all going.